So consideration of whether or not a product, is a cosmetic or not, must depend on several factors, of which claim is an essential element. Um, that Vietnam follow ASEAN guidelines, which provide a five-step decision-making process that have to identify products and claims which can be considered to be cosmetic based on five factors here. Um, Note that for the intended main function of the cosmetic, well, please note that cosmetic product may have like secondary or minor function outside the defined cosmetic scope, like those involving with dandruff or acne or antibacterial. So it's essential for you to consider which is the primary function or intended use for your cosmetic. As to product presentation, cosmetic products should not be presented as treating or preventing disease or for human beings. So we note not to use the word treatment in cosmetic, maybe in Vietnam. Now we look at the market overview for cosmetic in Vietnam. According to the Euromonitor International report, Vietnam is a leading country in ASEAN in cosmetic imports, and the market scale is increasingly growing at average annual growth rate of 6%, and the total market value was nearly 2.7 billion in 2021, and it's predicted to reach uh, 3.5 billion USD in 2026, and this figure has so great potential and attractiveness of the Vietnam market. Currently, there are more than 1,000 of brands with more than 300,000 cosmetic notification issued by the Drug Administration of Vietnam so far. As to the Vietnam population, it's very crowded with nearly 100 million people now, and of which the woman is account for 50%. And according to a report by VN Briefing in 2020, about 86% of Vietnamese women are using cosmetic now. For GDP growth was 8% in 2022, and the GDP per capita was more than 4,000 US dollar. And so is this expected to positively affect consumer spending and demand for cosmetic products in Vietnam. Here are some key players on market. According to the Statista.com report in 2022, foreign brands make up 90% of cosmetic market in Vietnam. If divided by countries, you can see that Korean brand here have the highest share of 30%, and followed by brands from Europe with 23%, and following up brands from Japan, Thailand, and also US. Top five key players companies are on market are L'Oreal, Unilever, Beardov, LG Pina Cosmetic, and Amol Pacific. And top five top five popular brands are Nivea, Pond's, L'Oreal Paris, Maybelline, and Vichy from L'Oreal. Now let's move to the part two with regulatory landscape and import process. And then the first one, the regulatory landscape of cosmetic product in Vietnam. Vietnam is a ASEAN member state and it follow ASEAN Cosmetic Directive. Um, um, so or we can call it ICD for short. So to implement the ICD regulation, Vietnam have issued various legal documents for cosmetic management in terms of ingredients labeling and safety requirement and notification. However, out of 19 legal documents that I counted, only two documents considered specialized documents for cosmetic management. The first one is Circular 06 2011 issued by the Ministry of Health for cosmetic management. And the second is Decree 93 2016 regulating the condition for cosmetic production. In Vietnam, the competent authority for cosmetic is the Ministry of Health, with draft and release and guidelines for cosmetic management. And under the Ministry of Health, the Drug Administration of Vietnam, we call DAV short, is responsible for accepting, processing, and issuing notification receipt numbers for cosmetic products. And they will conduct post-market surveillance for cosmetic after cosmetic for all cosmetics circulating on the market is required to have cosmetic notification and also product information file that contain administrative documents and summary of product ingredient quality, product quality, safety, and efficacy data of the product. As to the labeling requirement, cosmetic labels must be in English or Vietnamese, and it must include mandatory information. For advertisement requirement, the cosmetic product need to obtain pre-approval from the authority so as to advertise a cosmetic in Vietnam. And now we will look at the import process for here is the whole process for importing cosmetic to Vietnam. First, the responsible company must submit a cosmetic notification to the DAV for approval before importing cosmetic to Vietnam. And this step is very important because when your products arrive at the custom gate and your cosmetic notification has not yet been ready yet, so you have to wait until your notification is ready so that you can do custom clearance. And during while waiting, you have to put your product into the bonded warehouse of the customs, and it will cost you some cost for storing the product there, and sometimes your product may damage or even be lost during storing it there. So make sure you to avoid this may happen. Before placing your product on the market, remember to add the sub label to the product to supplement the mandatory information that is missing on the original label, and also to indicate the information that must be in Vietnamese. So also you should check the claims and submit the advertisement registration because it needs a pre-approval in Vietnam, as I have said. When the products are on the market, the responsible company must make the product information file ready and accessible by at any time upon the request from the authority. And And now we are going to into details of some key regulation. And the first one is the notification process. Here is the notification process and timeline. As all submission for import cosmetic are made online, so you first must register an account with the custom on the national single window, and also you will need to register an account with the Drug Administration Vietnam to better watch your request proceeding. Also to submit and transfer your request, you will need a token from a service provider, for example, Viettel, so that you can sign and submit your request is called or e-signature. And the lead time for this step is often from like 2 or 3 days. Yes. The second step is to submit the application with the authority, and it will be submitted online to the national single window of the custom, and the application will then be transferred to the DAV system. Often this step can be done immediately, but sometimes due to the backlog of the system, or maybe because of error of the system, and it's happened all the time, it will take you about 1 to several days to transfer your request to the system. The third step is at the DAV. When they receive your request, you will need to pay the fee for examination and for the and have to wait and for the DV to acknowledge the payment. So the lead time for the application to be received by the DV and for your payment to be acknowledged by the DV often from couple of days to a week. After the payment is done, and then the application will then be assigned to DAV officer to handle, or we can call DAV expert. And the DAV officer may object to the application or request request you to supplement the application, request you to clarify unclear point. And in that case, you need to respond to the DAV's request within 3 months. Otherwise, if the application goes smoothly and that nothing need to supplement or need to clarify, then the application will then be primarily approved by the DAV official. And the lead time here, the actual lead time for this step is often from 1 to 3 months on average. 3 months is often in the case that you receive the objection and you need to respond to it. And after the application is primarily approved by the officer, and then it will be officially approved by the head of the cosmetic department of the DV, and then it will be sealed stamped by the DV officer, and the lead time for this step is often from a couple of days to a week. Now we look at the requirements and information for cosmetic notification in Vietnam. Firstly, is the basic information that you need to include in the application form, and here I could include brand name, product name, or street name. Street name is in case you have a cosmetic and and you have the cosmetic have several shades, and you need to include the shade name in that application. For this, for the basic information, please note that the DAV is stringent on the intended use. Oh, sorry. Intended use. So you must pay careful attention when indicating the intended use in the notification request. For this purpose, I suggest you refer to the decision 1609 of the DV in guiding cosmetic classification and characteristic, including acceptable intended use. The next document is one of the important documents is the letter of authorization. First, it must be it can be in Vietnamese or English, and it must be legalized by the Vietnamese embassy or consulate in the issuing country, and it must include mandatory information. First, is the producer name and address.
Recording stopped.
Is that okay, Harry?
Recording in progress.
In case the authorizing party is the owner of the product, and the letter the LOI must clearly state the name and address of the owner, and also include the name and address of the producer as well. And it will include the name and address of the authorized company in Vietnam, and make sure the scope of authorization is included, including the right to notify and circulate product in Vietnam. Also, the brand or product name should be included, and also the time limit of authorization, and importantly, the commitment from the producer to the owner, product owner, or product owner of the to provide the responsible company in Vietnam with sufficient product information file. For the product. And last but not least, you should include the name and position of the signatory of the document. For the pre-sale certificate, it could be from the made in country or exporting country, and it's can in Vietnamese or English. It's okay, and it's also it must be legalized by the Vietnamese embassy or consulate in the issuing country, and it should include mandatory information as I listed here. So, and please note that the DD may object to the CFS for or lacking any of the information here. And often I see that some minor aspect that you may not pay attention could be challenged by the DD. For example, the signature or the name of the signatory. For example, if you sign the name of the signatory in Chinese, and the DD may challenge that it is not, they cannot read, or they can assume that is the signature of the signatory, so they may challenge your application. So, and here are the ingredients requirement for cosmetic in Vietnam. Basically, Vietnam follow ACD in requirement for cosmetic ingredients. So here are the annex that you should note when when making cosmetic formulation in Vietnam. Please note that this annex may be updated annually after each committee meeting of the ASEAN Cosmetic Scientific Body. So make sure that you use the most updated version of the annex. For ingredient listing, in the in Vietnam using in key names, often using in key name or international nomenclature of cosmetic ingredients, and the ingredients should be listed in descending order of content or percent, except for the ingredients with less than 1%. For coloring agent, they can be listed in whatever order after other components, and must indicate the percentage of all ingredients with restriction or condition set by the ACD Annex 3. Yeah. Yeah, some case of notification change. And so we remember that new cosmetic notification will be required in the following case. First one is change brand name and or product name, and all the change the companies responsible for putting product in the market. For example, you change from company A to company B, or you change the product formula. Um, Change of information of manufacturer or assembler, any name and or address will need new notification as well. Also, also for apply for change of product type. And the next case, you just need to update the DAB of the change by a written document, and after receiving the notification, like the letter, the DAV will consider and issue an acknowledgement of the change, so that you can use your current notification. Now we will look at the part 4 about labeling requirement for cosmetic in Vietnam. For the language, cosmetic label could be in English or Vietnamese, and except some required information must be in Vietnamese, as I marked in red below. And here are the mandatory information that must be in the original in the label of the cosmetic, include the product name and its function. It except in the case the product name show it clearly, and also the instruction of use for use, and then the full ingredient listing. Note that this should be consistent with the notified information. Also, you need to show the name and the rest of the company responsible for putting the product on the market, and also made in country information, net weight, volume, lot number, manufacturing date, and or expiry date. And the last but not least is the safety caution and warning, if any. For label size, it can be is flexible in Vietnam, but the content must be like illegal to be read by the next eyes. So for small size products, if there's not enough room for like all mandatory information, so an auxiliary label attached to the cosmetic product can supplement the information lacking. But remember that the product name and lot number must be included in the immediate packaging of the cosmetic. Here is the sub-label requirement. Uh, if the mandatory contents on the original label are in foreign language, or the original label lacks mandatory information, so a sub-label will be used to show the mandatory information in Vietnamese. And note that the information must be translated from the information on the original label. So make sure that there's no inconsistency between the foreign language and the Vietnamese. And also the sub-label is to supplement the mandatory information lacking on the original label. Sub-label must be put on the product before it is circulating on the market, and must not cover the mandatory information in the foreign language on the original label. Sub-label can include additional information, for example, the notification number, sale contact, and so on, as you wish. And also the sub-label must be illegal to be read by naked eyes as well. So here are the common mistakes when making sub-label that I in my experience I when and checking the sub-label I often see it. The first case that the contents are not readable by the naked eyes. It means that the label is too small on those views. The product still have room for it to be bigger, but for some reason the producer or designer still to make the label too small and can't do it. The second case that the sub-label information cover the mandatory information on the original label, so it is not accepted in Vietnam. And also one popular case that the content on sub-label are not consistent with the one on the original label. As I said before, it must be translated from the foreign language on the original label. So make sure that the two information is consistent with each other. Also, I often see that the information as to the efficacy claim exaggerate and not consistent with the notified information. For example, you some may use the number one or the best or leading claims without legitimate documents, supporting documents. For this guy, we will now now look at the going into more details about the claims and advertisement requirement in Vietnam, and see how possible claims could be. For cosmetic claims, basically it complies with the ASEAN cosmetic claim guideline, and it further be clarified in the DV decision number 1609, and standard common criteria for cosmetic claim here below. First, the cosmetic claim must be truthful, honest, and justified by evidence or the formulation itself, and it's not be misleading. Also, must not attribute to the product efficacy of preventing, or as it can prevent, treat, or cure human disease, or refer to or it refers to such properties. Usually, claim need to be softened compared to the English name on the original type. At you at in my experience, Vietnam authority control the claim on often claim control the claim on the local or sub label and the English claim on the original type and not very strictly controlled yet. So in case your English claim are too strong, you should mitigate the risk by softening the claim on the local label. And here are some examples of how we can soften the claim. The first case is admit treatment. I often see on the original label in other language, but in Vietnam it's not accepted. So you should reword it into reducing or preventing acne. Also for anti-oxidation and anti-pollution claims, you should reword them to like this. It helps reduce harmful effect of oxidative agent or pollutant on the skin. Also, you shouldn't use eliminate dandruff permanently or you use dandruff treatment, but instead you use reducing or cleaning or cleansing dandruff. And also for like another the case that I often see with the hair care product that use thickened hair, but the claim is not accepted in Vietnam, so it should be softened by using it helps the hairs look thicker. So remember the word look here, it means outer appearance, so it is accepted in Vietnam. Now we look at the advertisement requirement for cosmetic. But here, cosmetic in zero cosmetic advertisement require pre-approval from the authority, and the cosmetic must be previously notified with the Drug Administration of Vietnam. So the requirement as to the advertisement content, it must be conformable with the documents, including the information in the cosmetic notification and the safety and efficacy supporting documents. And the last is the guidelines on cosmetic claim and characteristic and some prohibited acts for advertising cosmetic in Vietnam. First one, you advertise cosmetic using the word best, the best, only, number one, or other words with similar meaning without legitimate domain. For example, you will the claim number one skincare product in Asia. If you use that claim, you must have a supporting documents and it should be a market research report that is issued by a company with a market research function, and the report must be issued within 1 year from the issuing date. For some department health, for example, the department of health of the Ho Chi Minh City, they will require you to register the number one claim with another authority before they approve your advertisement registration. So make sure you first have to obtain the legitimate supporting documents for this type claim. Another prohibited act is you advertise the cosmetic using the image, custom, or name or letter articles from healthcare unit and or medical establishment or doctors, pharmacists, and other healthcare personnel. Also, you do not advertise cosmetic in a way that cause people to confuse them with medicine. Now we look at the registration procedure and timeline for cosmetic in Vietnam. First, you need to submit the application with the Department of Health of the then you need to make the payment for the registration application. Often this step can be done both online and offline, and the lead time for this step is from like um, 3 to 5 working days. The next step, after the payment is done, and then the application will be assigned to the authorities officer to handle, and the officer may object to your application in step 3 if they see that there's something you need to revise, or the content you need to revise, or there's some unclear point you need to clarify. So or in step 3, or uh, if the application goes smoothly, they will approve your application in step 4. And the lead time for this step is often in principle is from 5 to 10 working days from the official receiving date in step 1. And step 3 is the request to revise or supplement in case that the officer object to your application. Um, and in that case, you will need to respond to the authorities' request within 90 days. And the lead time for this step is from 0 to 90 days. Step 4 is approval objection of your application. In case your application goes smoothly and all the applicants' response is satisfactory, and then the advertisement application will be approved. Otherwise, if you fail to respond in time or your response is not satisfactory, then the application will be rejected. And the lead time for this step is 10 working days from the official receiving date in step 1, or the response date in step 3. Here are the checklist for registration of advertisement. You need to submit a registration form with basic information, including the cosmetic name, information, and notification number. Also, you need to include the applicant information and the media that you wish to advertise your product. For advertisement content, you need to submit a key visual with the advertisement content, and with the written explanation for your advertisement content. For the applicant, the required documents are the company registration certificate and the letter of authorization of the signatory. Other required documents will include cosmetic notification receipt certified by the company, can certify by the company, and also you need to include the supporting documents regarding the product efficacy and the content you advertise in the key visual. You also need to submit a CD USB with the submitted documents, and including the advertisement key visual for the DOA to facilitate the DOA in their examination and approval. Now we look at the product information file for cosmetic in Vietnam. In general, the product owner or product producer must provide the product information file for the company responsible for putting the product on the market. And the PIF must be saved by the company responsible for putting the product on the market. And the PIF must be accessible at any time upon the authorities' request. And basically, the PIF for cosmetic in Vietnam will follow ICD guidelines, and it includes four parts. The first part is the administrative documents and summary of the product. Second is the ingredient quality. The third part is about the product quality, and the fourth part about the safety and efficacy of the cosmetic. For part one, it must be presented to the inspection authority right up on the request. For part two and from part two to part four, they can be submitted within 15 to 60 days afterward. And here are the product information file. Details about the product information file. The first part is the administrative product documents and summary of the product. It will include administrative documents that include that attached to the notification, like cosmetic notification receipt. The document you submit with the notification, like the letter of authorization, the CFS, and also composition for and the concentration of the ingredients. Also, it will include the first part will include product labeling and instruction listed if any. And the manufacturing statement and batch number product key coding system will include. For the first part, you will need to include the summary and or statement about the safety assessment of the product, and a summary of undesirable effects on human health, if any. Also, the last domain is the description of the efficacy of cosmetic drug. It is summary version as well. For the second part about ingredient quality, it include quality standard and testing method for ingredients, and then the data on safety of the ingredients based on the data provided by the supplier, published data or report from scientific committees. The first part about product quality will include the product formula with full ingredient listing and its concentration and function of each ingredient. And it will include also manufacturing information and standards and testing method used for the finished products. Also, it includes brief report on products stability. The fourth part about the safety and efficacy will include the full report on assessment of safety for human health of the finished product, depending on its ingredients and their chemical structure and level of exposure. Also, it will include the CV of the safety assessor and the latest reports on side effects or undesirable effects, if any, which is updated regularly. And the last document will be the on-type claim support, like the report on efficacy assessment of the product based on its composition or on the test performed and its supporting data. Um, Now let's move to post-market management of cosmetic in Vietnam. For cosmetic Quality Control Authority in Vietnam, the DAV at the central level and the DOF at the local or provincial level in a collaboration with the Inspectorate of the Ministry of Health and the Central Drug Testing Institute and the Drug Testing Institute of Ho Chi Minh City. Also, other authority may involve, including the Inspectorate of other ministry and the Market Management Department. The form for inspection or supervision include irregular or certain inspection. I mean, without a prior notification, and regular inspection or supervision with prior notification. For the content for inspection and supervision will include will cover the compliance with cosmetic regulation, including the CGMP, labeling, PIF, and advertisement, and also the resolution of dispute and complaints and accusation regarding the quality and other related matter of cosmetic, if any. And it will also include the implementation of cosmetic recall notice as regulated, if any. And the priority order for inspection and supervision will be the importers, distributor, and manufacturer. So, so I I have briefed you all about the guide for exporting cosmetic in Vietnam. Some key point to note first, cosmetic notification is required for all cosmetic circulating on the market, and make sure you have the cosmetic notification ready before your product arrives at the customs gate of Vietnam. For labeling requirement, remember that cosmetic label must be in Vietnamese or English, and it includes mandatory information. So if the original label does not contain sufficient information, then a sub-label can be used to supplement the information lacking. For advertisement of cosmetic, remember that cosmetic need a pre-approval from the authority before you can advertise the cosmetic in it. And the Vietnam authority can often control the claim on the sub label or the local language more than the control the English claim on the original. Like, so make sure that you soften the claim in local language to mitigate the risk. And last but not least, the product information file information that I have that presented you about. And now we will move to the Q&A session. Because the time is limited, so I set priority to the question that I have received previously before the webinar. No worries that for the question that have not been answered or the question that you may have during our speech today, my speech today, if the time still permit, PM in Vietnam, I will go through it. Otherwise, we will contact you later by email. The first question I received is, what are the country-specific requirements for Vietnam? Vietnam follow ICD in cosmetic management, but I can say that it has some requirement for its own requirement. For example, requirement for pre-approval of cosmetic advertisement in Vietnam, as I have presented above. All the requirements for the claim which are stricter, or the requirement for a CFS template. Second question is about CFS. Yeah, I believe CFS is no longer needed in most situations, but we are still being asked to provide a um, product made and manufactured in USA, but registered in other ASEAN countries. Thank you for this question. It's very interesting, and I believe that I think that CFS requirement is still a topic that is debatable in Vietnam. We refer to Circular 29 2020 of the Ministry of Health about this matter. So what I'm talking about here is the practice that the Drug Administration of Vietnam is applying now and accepting now. So basically, there are three cases in that CFS is exempted. The first one is when the product made in CPTPP country, for example, Japan, Canada, or Singapore, or in ASEAN we have Malaysia, also Singapore and Malaysia. The second case that the products are circulated and exported from CPTPP countries. So in this case, if you do not want to submit, if you want the, to include the CFS, you must prove that the application the product are circulated in the exporting country. So for this purpose, you must submit a supporting document for to prove that. So in my experience, the document must be like issued by a competent authority, and it's not very easy to obtain the document. Also, there's no template for this document yet, and it's not very easy to obtain. And in some case, even you obtain it, it could be challenged by the DAV. For example, the product name between in the exporting country and the product name you submit with the device is not like consist. It is not match with each other like that. So so in almost case, I see that the CFS from the made in country can be submitted instead in this case. And the third case in that the CFS are exempted products notified in ASEAN country. So in this case, the notifications must be legalized as well. However, for cosmetic notification in ASEAN, if it is in English, I mean the notification in English, and it can be searched online from the issuing authority website. So you can, in that case, you can use the notification without legalization, and you must send the link to search. I mean, to search the product online to the DAV. So, in my opinion, this document requirement is not easy to satisfy as well, as in almost country in ASEAN, they publish the notification in their local language, and not in English. And also, the notification format may not contain all the required information for determining whether the notified product in that country and the product notified in Vietnam are the same or not. So in my experience, I have only seen that the DV accepts the cosmetic notification in Malaysia and Singapore. Because the cosmetic notification in that country are in English, and also we can search the notification in Singapore and Malaysia online, and we can share it the link with the DAV for that. So So for back to your case, that if the product manufactured in USA and uh, it registered in ASEAN countries, so you should consider that if the product is exported directly from USA, so you must use the the you must use you can use the CFS from USA or ASEAN notification if the cosmetic are notified in Singapore and Malaysia. That's just two case that I see that the DDS exactly. Mm. So moving to the third question. What is compulsory information that is required to be translated into Vietnamese and the cosmetic label? Is product name also required to be stated in Vietnamese? So my answer is that as the Drug Administration of Vietnam confirmed, cosmetic labeling should follow requirements set in Circular 06 2011. So according to this circular, cosmetic name is not exclusively required in Vietnamese. However, we need to show the cosmetic name with its function as well. So sometimes the authority still object to the product labeling following requirement in Decree 43 2011. 2017, in which the product name must be in Vietnamese. So therefore, in my opinion, we should show the product name in Vietnamese with its function to avoid challenge to product when it is circulating on the market. For example, you can use for lipstick and product name that we notify. For example, we use the Vietnamese wording like this: son môi and that brand name and English product name. So that's the way I recommend you to use to avoid challenge from the authority when the product is on the market. The next questions are: what are the toxicology and ecotoxicology requirements for cosmetic product and ingredients to be sold in Vietnam? Vietnam follow ASEAN cosmetic directive in this matter, and especially you can refer to ACD Annex 2 on the list of prohibited substances in cosmetic product, and in Vietnam have no further regulation for specific regulation for this. For the last question, are there any unique rules on custom clearance? It's a requirement that I guess a requirement that the cosmetic must be notified before custom clearance in Vietnam. So when the notification is not ready yet, the product must be put in the bonded warehouse of the custom, and the importer must pay the fee for storing the product there. And and remember that your product may be lost or damaged, and you cannot claim custom for that. And also, custom can take random sample for checking in some cases. And importer must pay in Vietnam. Importer must pay the import fee depending on product, on the type product, but it is often from 10% to 27%, and the value added tax is 10% for imported cosmetic. So I have gone through the question that I said before the webinar, and I think it's relevant to the topic today. So Thank you for your news today, and I will give the floor to our colleague, Miss Hedy. Hey, Hedy.
Thank you, Ms. Yan, for your very great and clear sharing today. And for the unanswered questions, we will get back to you by email. If you have any more questions about Vietnam cosmetic regulations or any needs for registering cosmetic products in Vietnam, you are welcome to send emails to contact@camlink.com, and we are looking forward to hearing from you. We will also upload the webinar recording and the slides on Camlink website and inform you once they are ready. To better serve you, we invite you to fill out the survey shown on the screen. Your feedback is valuable to us and will help us improve our future webinars. And we'd like to inform you our upgraded ingredient search tool in Camlink. This is a tool collecting all the prohibited, restricted, and permitted cosmetic ingredients in China, South Korea, Japan, ASEAN, Europe, and India. If you want to export your cosmetics to any of these regions, but not sure whether the ingredient used is prohibited or its limitations, welcome to use this tool. You can search an ingredient by its name or cost number and quickly find whether it could be used or its limitations. We are also excited to announce that Camlink webinars will now be open to business companies. This means that companies can showcase their technologies and the products on the Camlink platform to our audience of over 50,000 registered BN members. Our team will provide support on all aspects of the webinar, from content polishing to promotion. We hope for both speakers and our audience, this new service can provide more value to all of our members. If you are interested in this service, please contact me at hedy@camlink.com. Okay, that's all for today's content. Thank you all for your participation. And also great thanks to Ms. Yan for preparing and delivering such an excellent presentation. And for more cosmetic regulatory information in Vietnam, stay tuned with Camlink and the Rich 24H. Bye-bye. See you all next time. And bye-bye, Yan.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye, Hedy, and bye, everyone. Good night to everyone.
Bye-bye.